Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, that is Electronics Guide, and I am Asutosh Padhi today with a new video on the ongoing video lecture series regarding analog electronic circuit. And today's session we are going to deal the chapter called static characteristics of JFET. Before going to the topic, I would like to thank all the subscribers for subscribing and supporting in a huge number. Those who are first time viewer, I recommend them and request them, please go through the previous two lectures so that they can easily understand today's topic. Now moving to the topic. The first point is, what do you mean by static characteristic? The static characteristic means how an electronics device behaves to the applied DC voltage sources. In case of JFET, we are applying two types of voltages, that is VGS at gate end and VDS at the drain end. We are going to find out how the device performs after the application of these two voltages. That means how the current ID inside the device changes with respect to VGS and VDS. The static characteristic of any device includes three characteristics. The first one is input characteristics. The second one is output characteristic, and the third one is transfer characteristic. Input characteristic includes the relation between the input current and input voltage, and the output characteristic includes the relationship between output current and output voltage. The transfer characteristics gives the relationship between the input parameter and the output parameter. In case of JFET, we are going to see these two only, that means output characteristic and transfer characteristic. We are not going to draw the input characteristic curve for JFET. Why? This is a homework problem for you. Why we are not drawing the input characteristic curve for JFET? Now, I said that we are going to draw the output characteristic and transfer characteristic. The output characteristic of JFET includes the relationship between VDS versus ID. This is the output voltage and this is the output current. So this is the output characteristic curve. The transfer characteristic includes the plot between VGS versus ID. This is the input voltage and this is the output current. So one input parameter is there and one output parameter is there. The relationship is known as transfer characteristics. Now, in today's video lecture, we are going to draw only this characteristic. In the next video, we are going to draw the transfer characteristic curve. For this, we have to analyze this figure. This figure depicts an N-channel JFET. The channel type is N-channel. As soon as the JFET is constructed, the depletion layer is created instantly, and the penetration, we can see from this figure, we can see the penetration of the depletion layer is more toward the lightly doped N-type channel, and the blue line indicates the penetration of depletion layer toward the P-type gate, P plus type gate. So, from this figure we can clearly see that the penetration is more toward the lightly doped area. This concept is already stated in the previous lecture. Now, to this JFET, we are going to apply the DC voltage sources. In this figure, we are applying two voltage sources, but for the sake of simplicity, we are going to apply only one voltage source at a time, and we are going to inactive the other sources. For this, we are assuming that VGS equal to 0 volt. That means this voltage source is short circuited, which is given in this figure. The voltage source is short circuited, and VDS is applied from drain to source terminal, which is a variable source. We can vary its voltage from 0 volt to some positive voltage. As said earlier, if we increase the voltage of VDS from 0 volt to some positive voltage, the channel behaves as a resistor. That is, if we increase the drain voltage, then the drain current also increases. Assume VDS equal to 0.5 volt. Then assume that ID equal to 1 milliampere. If we increase the VDS value from 0.5 volt to 1 volt, then the ID will also increase and will become 2 milliampere. If we further increase VDS then to 2 volt, then ID will also increase and becomes 4 milliampere. If we going to plot this data in a graph containing VDS versus ID, then the figure will look like something like this. In this figure, the x-axis represents the VDS and the y-axis represents the current ID. This point is a 0.5 volt, this is 1 volt, this is 2 volt, then this is 1 milliampere, this is 2 milliampere, and this is 4 milliampere. The shape of the graph is a straight line passing through the origin. That means this is a linear graph. The graph is similar to the graph drawn in Ohm's law. That means here our JFET is obeying the Ohm's law and behaving like a perfect resistor. Here comes the question: will this behavior also true for the higher voltages of VDS? That means if we are going to increase the VDS value from 2 volt to some 3 volt or 4 volt or 5 volt like this, then will the graph will continue its path, that is the ID will increase something like this, or will there is a limiting point after which the ID value won't increase, it may decrease, it may continue at a particular current? To get the answer for this question, we have to analyze the physical behavior of the JFET. For this, we are taking again a n-type JFET, n-channel JFET. For this part of explanation also, I have taken an example of n-channel JFET. And I am applying a voltage of 3 volt. This is nothing but the VDS. Previously I was applying 2 volt voltage supply, now I have increased 2 volt to 3 volt. That means the drain terminal must be having 3 volt voltage, whereas the source terminal must be having 0 volt voltage. And the voltage at the gate terminal must be 0 volt, as the gate and source are short circuited. As I said earlier, the channel of the n-channel JFET will behave as a simple resistor. Then I may assume that there is a presence of physical resistor throughout the length of the channel, something like this. Something like this. Now, when ID current flows through this resistor, that means when ID current flows through the channel, then there is a ohmic drop across the length of the channel. That means at this terminal, if the resistor is having 3 volt, then at this point it must be having 2 volt voltage drop, At this point it may be having a voltage drop of 1 volt, and this point obviously should be at 0 volt. And the gate channel PN junction can be treated as 4 PN junction diodes are connected between gate to the channel. I may assume like this for our easy understanding. You may assume that 4 PN junction diodes are connected between gate and channel. From the lower side also 4 PN junction diodes are, you may assume that 4 PN junction diodes are connected like this. 4 PN junction diodes are connected like this. Now, this figure, these things can be easily understood by looking at this figure. These two are same figure. This is nothing but the gate terminal. This is also the lower side of the gate terminal. This is source and this is drain terminal. Let's assume the resistor which is present in between the source and drain is having resistance value of 3 R ohm, and the length of the channel is L. You may assume that the length of the channel is L. Now, this the 3 resistor, the right side figure having 3 resistors, but the length of each resistor is L by 3. Each resistor is L by 3, and each resistor is having resistance value of R ohm. R ohm. That means the equivalent resistance from source to drain is 3R, which is previously present between drain and source. Now, now the source terminal and drain terminal are connected by the VDS, which is 3 volt voltage supply. VDS is having 3 volt. That means the drain terminal is at 3 volt, whereas the source terminal is at 0 volt. The gate terminal is also at 0 volt. Now, look at D1. Look at D1. D1, the P side also at 0 volt, and the N side of the D1 is also at 0 volt. That means D1 is open circuited. Now, D4, the P side of the D4 is having at 0 volt, and the N side is at 3 volt. That means the D4 is reverse biased. Now, as the current ID flows through these resistors, ID current flows through these resistors, so the voltage drops at this point must be 2 volt, and the voltage drop at this point must be 1 volt. So, the P terminal of the D3 is at 0 volt, whereas the N terminal of the D3 is at 2 volt. That means D3 also reverse biased. Now, what about D2? The P terminal of the D2 is at 0 volt, whereas the N terminal of the D2 is at 1 volt. That means D2 is also reverse biased. The same thing happens for all the 4 diodes connected below. That means this one open circuited, this one reverse biased, this one reverse biased, this one reverse biased. That means D2, D3, D4 all are reverse biased, but the reverse voltage of D2 is greater than D3, greater than D4. D4 is having maximum reverse bias voltage. That means the width of the depletion region of D2 is greater than D3 is greater than D4. W1, W2, W3 and W4 are nothing but the width of the depletion layer, of D2, D3 and D4 respectively. See the left sided figure. By this explanation, you can easily say that the width of the depletion region gradually increases from left side to right side. That means when we travel through source to drain, we can say that the depletion region width increases gradually like this. Similarly, for this also, the lower side PN junction also. That means now the depletion region width is not uniform through the channel, it is more tapered at the drain end. Now the shape of the depletion region changes to this type, which is more tapered at this drain terminal, making the width of the channel narrower at the drain end. The width of the channel is highest at the source end. Maximum channel width. Due to this, the channel resistance increases, making ID value lower. ID value decreases. When we are increasing the VDS value from 2 volt to 3 volt, this is going to happen. That means ID value now is reduced. Now consider a case when we are increasing the VDS value further, that means 3 volt to 3.25 volt, like this. See the right sided figure. When we are increasing the VDS value from 3 to 3.25 volt, the depletion region is more tapered at the drain end, making the channel further narrower, which results into lower ID value further reduced. That means when we are increasing the VDS value, instead of increasing at previous rate, ID decreases. That means the graph, instead of increasing at linear rate, something like this, the graph will become like this. That means the ID value tends to decrease like this. Now, if we are further increasing the VDS value from 3.25 to 3.5 volt, the tapering increases, due to which resistance through the channel will increase and making ID lesser. When we further increase the VDS value, ID value further reduced and channel width is now narrower. This is the minimum width of the channel. This is the minimum width of the channel. That means when we are applying VDS equal to 4 volt, we are getting minimum width of the channel. If we are further increasing the VDS value greater than 4 volt, will the two depletion regions will touch to each other, making the channel width 0, that in turns makes ID equal to 0. Will it happen? Then the answer is no. This won't happen. When we increase the VDS value further, then the channel width is going to remain constant, which makes ID current constant. That means when we increase the VDS value from 4 volt, then the ID current remains constant. That means ID value saturates. Then what will be the shape of the graph? This is the graph. For a lower value of VDS, that means let's assume up to 2 volt, VDS equal to 2 volt, the channel will behave like a perfect resistor, due to which ID is linearly increasing, something like this. after 2 volt, the channel shape is now not uniform. It is narrower at the drain end and wider at the source end, which makes greater channel resistance, due to which ID value tends to lower. And when we are reaching at a voltage of 4 volt, the channel width is minimum, and after which, by increasing VDS value, the ID value won't increase, it will remain constant throughout. Now, the voltage after which the ID value won't increase, that voltage is known as VP, that is pinch off voltage. Pinch off voltage. The highest value of ID when VGS equal to 0. The highest value of ID when VGS equal to 0, this is known as IDSS. That is drain to source saturation current. IDSS means drain to source saturation current. After VP, current value won't increase if we are increasing the VDS value. That means currents get saturated. After VP, the channel width is not going to change. That means the channel is pinched off. This is known as pinch off condition. When VDS is equal to VP, the channel is pinched off. If we are further increasing the voltage of VDS, it will reach at a particular point at which a huge amount of current will flow through the PN junction, making the PN junction breakdown. This voltage is known as breakdown voltage. Now let's move on to the case where we have to consider the individual effect of VGS. That means if we apply VGS other than VGS equal to 0, then what happens? In this figure, we are applying VGS. Let's assume VGS equal to minus 1 volt. As this is a reverse voltage, so negative sign is there. Here VGS equal to minus 2 volt. Here VGS equal to minus 3 volt. Here VGS equal to minus 4 volt. Here minus 4 volt. Now let's see the case of VGS equal to minus 4 volt. When we are increasing the reverse voltage, the width of the depletion layer is going to increase, due to which the channel width decreases, channel resistance in turns increases, making ID value lesser. When we are giving minus 2 volt VGS, then the channel width further decreases, making ID value further reduced. When we are increasing the VGS value from minus 2 volt to minus 3 volt, the depletion region are further increased and making ID value more lesser. When we are making VGS value minus 4 volt, then the width of the depletion layer further increased, making the effective channel width 0, which in turns makes ID value equal to 0. This condition is also known as pinch off condition. The channels are now pinched off. Now, if I am applying VDS in this all 4 figure, then current will flow, but the current value will be less than the previous case, that is VGS equal to 0 volt. That means the rate of increase of current will be less than the previous case. The slope is decreased now. Now, if I going to draw the figure of VGS equal to minus 1 volt, then the figure will be something like this. This graph is for lower value of VDS, for lower value of VDS. That means up to 2 volt, up to 2 volt. This is for graph for VGS equal to 0 volt. This is for VGS for minus 1 volt. This is for VGS minus 2 volt, and the green one is for minus 3 volt. Now if I increase the VDS value from 2 volt to further more positive value, then the same thing is going to happen. That means the drain end of the PN junction will be having more depletion width, making the channel width more narrower, which in turns resulting into decrease in ID. That means if we increase the value of VDS from greater than 2 volt, the channel shape is now not uniform, will be something like this, making the channel width at the drain region narrower, which makes ID value lesser. Same thing will be happen in this figure, same thing will happen next figure, similar. Now if we draw the graph for VGS equal to minus 1 volt, VGS equal to minus 2 volt, VGS equal to minus 3 volt, the graph shifts downward, something like this. This blue graph is for VGS equal to 0 volt. This point is known as, I earlier said that this point is known as VP, that is saturation voltage, VP, after which the current gets saturated. That means the current is not going to change irrespective of the change in VDS voltage, and the maximum current is known as IDSS, that is drain to source saturation current. So the region in which the channel is going to behave like a simple resistor, this region is known as the ohmic region or linear region. The region at which the ID value won't increase, that is remain constant, that is known as saturation region or current saturation region or constant current region or pentode. The region at which the breakdown will occur, this region is known as breakdown region. And let's assume the case when VGS equal to minus 4 volt, the channel gets pinched up. That means the current, the channel width is going to be 0 and ID will also 0. Then the line will be here, that is no current is flowing as the channel is pinched up, channel width is 0, the line is here on the x-axis. This region is known as cutoff region. So for n channel JFET, 4 regions are defined. First one is linear or ohmic region, second one is saturation region or constant current region, third one is breakdown region, and fourth one is cutoff region. This is all about the static characteristic of n channel JFET, in which we have studied the output characteristic curve. That means the relationship between VDS and ID, in which we have seen that the gate voltage, that is VGS, is going to control the VGS is going to control overall behavior of the n channel JFET. So VGS is the controlling voltage. So we are saying that the JFET is a voltage controlled device. That is, the ID current is controlled by VGS. The output current ID is controlled by the input voltage VGS. So that's why the JFET is known as a voltage controlled device. In this video, we saw how the drain current ID is changing with respect to the change in VDS when making VGS constant. That means at constant voltages of VGS, how ID is changing, we have seen. At a constant voltage of VGS equal to 0 volt, how the graph is changing. At the constant voltage of VGS equal to minus 1 volt, how the graph is changing. That means we have made VGS constant and VDS variable voltage. The variable one is VDS. In the next class, we are going to see how the current ID is changing with respect to VGS. That means we are varying now VGS, and what is the effect on ID we are going to see, making VDS constant. We can see this effect in the next video, that is static characteristic of JFET part 2.